Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you love rare stamps, hidden treasures, fascinating history, and valuable collectibles, then you're in the perfect place. Here, we explore some of the world's most beautiful and historic postage stamps, uncover their stories, learn why collectors treasure them, and discover what makes certain stamps incredibly valuable today. Every postage stamp is much more than a way to send a letter. It is a tiny piece of history that has traveled through time, carrying stories of presidents, national heroes, historic events, and the evolution of the postal system. Some stamps become valuable because very few survive, while others are prized because of their outstanding design, historical importance, printing varieties, or exceptional condition. In today's video, we're exploring 4 remarkable United States 10-cent stamps. These stamps span nearly 70 years of American history and feature stunning engravings, famous historical figures, and unique postal purposes. Some are affordable collector's items, while others can sell for thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars depending on their condition, rarity, and printing varieties. So, grab your magnifying glass, sit back, and let's begin our journey through 4 incredible American stamps that continue to fascinate collectors around the world. Our first stamp is the impressive 1894 United States 10-cent postage due stamp, one of the most recognizable postage due issues ever produced by the United States Postal Service. Unlike ordinary postage stamps that were purchased before mailing a letter, postage due stamps had a completely different purpose. They were never sold to the public for regular mailing. Instead, postal clerks attached them to letters and packages that had insufficient postage. The recipient was then required to pay the missing amount before receiving the mail. This system helped ensure that the Postal Service recovered unpaid postage while maintaining fairness for all mail users. The bold carmine red design immediately catches the eye. Instead of featuring a president or famous historical figure, the stamp proudly displays a large numeral 10, making its value instantly recognizable. The elegant lettering, ornamental scrollwork, and symmetrical layout reflect the sophisticated engraving techniques of the late 19th century. Collectors admire this stamp because it represents an important chapter in American postal history. It tells the story of how postal employees handled underpaid mail long before automated postal systems existed. Value depends greatly on condition. A used example with normal wear may sell for $20 to $100, while fine and used copies often range between $150 and $600. Exceptionally well-centered mint examples with original gum can sell for over $1,000, and rare plate varieties or certified premium condition examples have achieved even higher prices at major stamp auctions. For many philatelists, this stamp is not simply a collectible, it is a fascinating reminder of how the American postal system once operated behind the scenes. Our second stamp is one of the true classics of United States philately, the magnificent 1869 George Washington 10-cent stamp. Issued in 1869, only a few years after the Civil War, this stamp belongs to the famous pictorial series, one of the most revolutionary stamp issues ever produced by the United States. Earlier stamps had mostly featured simple portraits, but the 1869 series introduced dramatic new artwork, richer colors, and far more elaborate engraving. The portrait of George Washington symbolizes leadership, courage, and the birth of the United States. Every tiny engraved line demonstrates the extraordinary craftsmanship of 19th-century printers, who created these masterpieces entirely by hand engraving on steel plates. Because this denomination was widely used for international letters and heavier domestic mail, many examples were heavily used. Finding a beautifully centered stamp with fresh color and only a light cancellation is becoming increasingly difficult. This is one of the reasons collectors are willing to pay significant amounts for outstanding examples. Today, average used copies generally sell between $100 and $400, while attractive and used examples often bring $800 to several $1,000s. High-grade certified stamps with exceptional centering can reach $10,000 or more, especially when accompanied by expert certification. Rare printing varieties and invert-related errors associated with the 1869 series are among the most valuable American stamps ever discovered. For many collectors, owning this stamp means owning an important piece of 19th-century American history. Our third stamp honors John Tyler, the 10th President of the United States, and comes from one of America's most beloved definitive stamp series, the famous 1938 Presidential Series, affectionately known by collectors as the Prexies. This remarkable series included every U.S. president from George Washington through Calvin Coolidge, making it one of the most complete presidential stamp collections ever issued by any country. John Tyler became president in 1841 after the unexpected death of President William Henry Harrison. His succession established an important constitutional tradition that continues to guide presidential transitions today. The stamp features a beautifully engraved side portrait surrounded by a clean and elegant design. Although it may appear simple, the engraving displays remarkable detail, especially in Tyler's facial features and clothing. Because millions of these stamps were printed for everyday postal use, they remain affordable for beginning collectors. However, rarity increases dramatically when collectors seek perfectly centered mint examples, plate number blocks, coil varieties, or rare printing errors. Most used examples are worth $1 to $10, while mint never-hinged copies often sell between $10 and $75. Superb graded examples with flawless centering have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, demonstrating how condition can dramatically affect a stamp's value. The John Tyler stamp reminds collectors that even common stamps can become valuable when preserved in exceptional condition. Our final stamp is one of the artistic masterpieces of early 20th century American stamp design, the beautiful 1902 Daniel Webster 10-cent stamp. Daniel Webster was one of America's greatest lawyers, senators, diplomats, and public speakers. His powerful speeches defending the Constitution and preserving the Union made him one of the nation's most respected political leaders. The 1902 Bureau issue is famous for its ornate engraved frames, decorative columns, rich typography, and highly detailed portraits. The warm brown color gives the stamp a distinguished appearance, while the intricate engraving showcases the incredible talent of America's master engravers. Collectors often consider this one of the finest engraved definitive stamps produced during the early 1900s. Every decorative line demonstrates the remarkable craftsmanship that has become increasingly rare in modern stamp printing. Used examples generally sell between $20 and $100, while attractive mint copies often bring $200 to over $1,000. Premium quality examples with outstanding centering, original gum, and professional certification have sold for several $1,000s at specialized philatelic auctions. More than a century after its release, the Daniel Webster stamp remains a favorite among collectors who appreciate both history and exceptional artistic design. Conclusion. These four remarkable stamps prove that collecting is about far more than monetary value. Each stamp tells a different story about America's history, postal system, political leaders, and artistic achievements. Some were created to collect unpaid postage, while others honored presidents and influential statesmen whose legacies continue to shape the nation. Whether you're just beginning your collection or you've been collecting for decades, these stamps represent some of the finest examples of American philately. Their beauty, historical importance, and potential value continue to attract collectors from every corner of the world. If you enjoyed today's journey through these incredible U.S. stamps, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. You've come to the right place. Every postage stamp carries more than just a postal value. It carries history. It reflects the leaders of a nation, the artistic style of its era, and sometimes even the economic and political changes taking place when it was issued. Over time, these tiny pieces of paper have become prized collectibles, with some selling for hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars. Today's video is dedicated to three remarkable United States 2-cent stamps. At first glance, they may look similar because they feature America's founding fathers and presidents, but each stamp comes from a different era, served a different purpose, and has its own fascinating story. We'll explore their history, design, rarity, and current collector value. Whether you're a seasoned philatelist or just beginning your collecting journey, this video will help you appreciate why these classic American stamps remain so popular around the world. So, without further delay, let's begin with our first stamp. Our journey begins with one of the most famous postage stamps ever produced in the United States, the legendary 2-cent George Washington carmine stamp. At first glance, it may appear to be an ordinary stamp, but behind this simple red design lies one of the most fascinating stories in American philately. George Washington, the first president of the United States and the commander-in-chief who led the nation to independence, appears in a beautifully engraved portrait inspired by the famous Gilbert Stuart painting. His image became a symbol of trust, leadership, and patriotism, making him the obvious choice for America's most frequently used stamp. Beginning in 1908, this stamp became part of the celebrated Washington Franklin series, one of the longest-running and most complex definitive stamp issues in U.S. history. Billions were printed because the 2-cent denomination paid the standard first-class domestic letter rate, meaning this stamp traveled on millions of letters across America every single day. Although billions were produced, not every stamp is the same. The Washington Franklin series contains dozens of different varieties involving watermarks, perforation sizes, paper types, printing methods, and shades of red. To an untrained eye they may look identical, but to experienced collectors these differences can mean the difference between a $1 stamp and a 5-figure rarity. Most ordinary used examples are worth only a few dollars. Attractive mint copies usually sell for $20 to several $100s. But rare varieties in exceptional condition have sold for $10,000, $25,000, and even over $100,000. Some extraordinary printing errors and unique examples from the Washington Franklin series have realized well over $500,000 at major philatelic auctions. This is why collectors examine every Washington stamp carefully. A tiny detail invisible to most people could transform an ordinary-looking stamp into one of the greatest discoveries of a lifetime. Next, we arrive at one of America's most beloved commemorative stamps, the 1932 George Washington Bicentennial 2-cent stamp. This issue was released to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, honoring the man who became the nation's first president and one of its greatest heroes. Unlike ordinary definitive stamps, this commemorative issue was designed to celebrate a historic milestone. Every engraved line reflects the exceptional craftsmanship of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Washington's dignified portrait is framed by elegant ornaments, making this stamp one of the most attractive commemorative issues of the 20th century. Millions of Americans purchased this stamp not only to mail letters but also to preserve it as a keepsake honoring Washington's legacy. Because so many were saved, ordinary examples remain affordable today. However, serious collectors know that condition is everything. A perfectly centered stamp with flawless perforations, bright original color, and pristine gum can be worth many times more than an average copy. Typical used examples often sell for less than $5, while mint examples range from $10 to $100. Professionally graded superb examples have sold for hundreds or even several $1,000s. Rare production errors, dramatic misprints, or unique plate varieties associated with this issue can command significantly higher prices whenever they appear at auction. Collectors often say that the difference between an ordinary stamp and an extraordinary stamp isn't age, it's rarity, condition, and demand. Our final stamp features one of America's most influential founding fathers, John Adams, the second President of the United States. Issued in 1938 as part of the famous presidential series, affectionately known among collectors as the Prexies, this stamp represents one of the greatest definitive stamp series ever produced by the United States. John Adams was much more than America's second president. He was one of the strongest voices for independence, helped negotiate peace with Great Britain after the Revolutionary War, and played a critical role in establishing the young republic. The portrait on this stamp is beautifully engraved with remarkable precision. Even under magnification, collectors can appreciate the extraordinary detail placed into every line of Adams' face, hair, and clothing. Although millions were printed for everyday postal use, not all surviving examples are equal. Collectors compete for stamps with perfect centering, flawless gum, exceptional color, plate blocks, full sheets, rare coil versions, and printing errors. Ordinary used copies generally sell for only a few dollars, while pristine mint examples often reach $50 to several $100s. High-grade certified examples have sold for well over $1,000, and unusual errors or unique production varieties can bring many thousands of dollars whenever they appear in prestigious philatelic auctions. These remarkable prices remind us that rarity is often hidden in the smallest details. These three remarkable 2-cent stamps prove that postage stamps are far more than simple pieces of paper. They are miniature works of art, historical documents, and silent witnesses to America's past. They traveled through homes, businesses, government offices, and across oceans, carrying messages that connected families and changed lives. While most surviving examples remain affordable, the rarest varieties, flawless mint copies, and spectacular printing errors have achieved astonishing auction prices. In the world of philately, collectors are willing to spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and in exceptional cases even millions of dollars for truly extraordinary stamps. These three remarkable 2-cent stamps remind us that history can be preserved in the smallest of objects. Each stamp represents a different era in American history, from the everyday mail of the early 20th century to the celebration of George Washington's bicentennial and the elegant presidential series honoring John Adams. While many examples remain affordable for beginning collectors, exceptional condition, rare varieties, and printing errors can transform an ordinary-looking stamp into a highly valuable collectible. That's one of the reasons stamp collecting continues to captivate people around the world. It combines history, art, detective work, and the excitement of discovering something truly rare. If you have any of these stamps in your collection, take a close look at their condition, centering, perforations, and any unusual printing features. You may be holding more than just a piece of postal history. You could be holding a valuable collectible. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of classic United States stamps, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next exploration of rare stamps, hidden treasures, and fascinating philatelic history. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your next stamp discovery be your most valuable one yet.